Fight!
Hey guys, welcome to Versus. I'm Django. I'm going to be moderating this episode. Today's episode is on the topic of guest characters. Discussing the benefits of including such characters is Cyborg. And we also have Temp holding down the con side of the argument. The format for this debate will be as follows. We will have a 5-minute opening where each debater will present their arguments. And then we will have a 2-minute cross-examination. This is different than the last episode, so it's very exciting. After that, we will have a 3-minute rebuttal for each of our debaters. And then we will finish with a 1-minute free-for-all. It's going to be great. Let's jump right in here. I'm so super psyched. I'm going to flip a coin. And let's see. Temp, you can call it in the air.
Tails.
Temp, it is tails. You will be... Do you get to choose? You should choose, I think.
Oh, you don't get to choose.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So he goes first.
I think so.
I do indeed go first, yes.
All right, awesome. Temp, you will be going first. I will be
This isn't football.
starting your... Yeah, it is. We'll be starting the time right now.
All right. The biggest criticism of guest characters is that they take up resources that could be allotted to expanding the Mortal Kombat universe. And what do I mean when I say they take up resources? Well, I'm operating under the assumption that the development time has a finite amount of, well, time and resources, basically. So if we're not operating under that assumption, then it follows that they do have more time and they do have more resources to make more content, but they're not doing it. And to me, that's even worse. That's an even bigger criticism of NetherRealm Studios. So we have this opportunity to flesh out Mortal Kombat as a universe, and we're using it for a non-relevant franchise or non-relevant character content. And this content has no future. These characters are not coming back. We're going to design a moveset. We're going to design, we're going to take the time to give them visuals and give them their own specials, and they have an expiration date. We're not going to see them again. Best case scenario, their specials will be allotted to a character in the future, and I don't know. I don't really know if I like that idea much more, because I don't know if I want to use recycled specials for a new character, or even worse, a previous character in the series. Another problem is I feel like they do kind of conflict with the art design. I mean, Mortal Kombat is about putting all this effort into making the stages shine and the characters unique. So when you put a guest character next to all that, I feel like it does mess with the aesthetic. But even if you want to, put that down as preference, what it does do is you risk making your game feel dated in the future. We don't know if the characters they add to the game are going to be relevant in 10 years. We don't know if they're going to have the fans they have right now in 10 years. I feel like we're already kind of experiencing that with Kratos. Kratos, I don't think, is aging well. But I feel like as an opportunity cost, it just makes more sense to me to develop a Mortal Kombat character to bring back an older character. Because when you build a fan base for that character, when you plant capital in one of the previous characters, whether it be a 3D era character, an undeveloped trilogy character, you raise the stock of the series as a whole. You create more long-term fans, and that doesn't feel dated later. That doesn't have an expiration date. If you want to generate interest in your game, make other parts of your game more valuable. And I think fan demand factors in as well. We're looking at the supposed leaked tier list from Mortal Kombat X, and there's no sign of Fujin. Now, Fujin's had to wait for Not Counting Armageddon since what, MK4? More than a decade now? How long have fans been asking for that character? Well, if we had the resources to put more Mortal Kombat characters in the game, we could satisfy this demand, and more importantly, we can make Fujin a more valuable part of the MK universe. So I just feel like you're making your franchise overall more valuable. Now, do guest characters sell? Yes, I'm sure Freddy and even Kratos put a lot of copies into households that may not have made it otherwise, but are we talking the difference between 5 million copies and 5,500,000 copies? I mean, I'm not saying in terms of money that doesn't make sense, but I feel like if you want Mortal Kombat to shine on its own merits and you want it to shine in other media even, put value in your characters, make them, make them shine. And and again, this is also maybe comes down to preference, but there's also the tournament legacy. I feel like if you want a character to really represent your franchise on a tournament level, I just don't think it looks good when you have Freddy Krueger or Kratos being in the top 5. Now, Kratos wasn't good, but Freddy was. Freddy was debatably a top 5 character in MK9. Does that look good from an outside perspective? I don't think it does. I think if you're going to have tournament legacy with anything, you'd want to pump it into one of the established parts of your series. And it does come down to preference if you like or dislike the character. But that's even true if you're for guest characters. If you think guest characters are a good idea, it's still a gamble because you don't know necessarily what the demographic wants. We got lucky with Freddy. Are we going to get as lucky with, say, I don't know, Spawn, if he's a possibility? It's just a huge gamble when I feel like you could take a safer route, and you could take a route that has more long-term value.
30 seconds, Temp.
Well, that pretty much covers it, honestly. I just feel like if you want to put more worth in your franchise, make it better, expand it, take the resources and the time you have, and polish it. All parts of it. Don't just polish, the front-end characters like Sub-Zero, Scorpion. You can make everything better. We're seeing it with the comic already. The comic is taking characters that a lot of people either didn't know about or weren't fond of. And we're seeing Reiko rise into prominence. Reiko is leaving a huge...
That is time.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Temp. And Cyborg, your time starts now.
All right, for my cross-examination, I really don't have much to say, or much to ask, I should say. Since I have 2 minutes, I probably won't be using all that, but one thing I did want to ask you in regarding to what you said was characters are not coming back, are being used, like, the guest character is a character that's not going to be coming back, so that's resources being used on a character that's not coming back. This was a statement you made during your opening statement.
Yes.
And my question to you is, do you think a character like Scarlet is coming back?
Probably not.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
But if I can elaborate then, I think Scarlet could come back. I think there's a potential. There's no legal reason why Scarlet couldn't come back. Scarlet's not coming back because she's Scarlet. It's not something intrinsic to the character. Scarlet's not coming back because she doesn't have a lot of fans and they kind of rushed her design. I think. I could be wrong about that. Let's say if they made a brand new character in MK9 and it was Aaron Black. Okay, go on. Yeah.
But is it fair to say that just because they don't use it on a deal or on a guest character, that the character that would be in their place doesn't necessarily mean that character is going to be brought back? There's no guarantee of that.
That's absolutely true. And a lot of it's going to come down to, if the character doesn't come back, it usually means two things.
Okay, 20 seconds left on the 2 minutes if you guys want to hold to that.
Yep.
Well, it means either they didn't have a lot of fans, or they're just... They were unique to that storyline. And if the character didn't have a lot of fans, they should have designed a better character. That was completely in their power, and they chose not to. They could have done better, and there was nothing unique about Scarlet. I feel like with a guest character, though, you're locked into a specific template.
Okay. All right. Cyborg, your opening argument begins not now, but now.
All right. These are the topics I want to touch on, or the key points, I should say, I'll start off by saying the guest characters, both for MK9 and Injustice, were the highest selling DLC characters. That is factually proven, and I have the facts to back that up by Ed Boon's statement on Twitter. I mean, if he's... I don't know why he would lie and say a guest character that's not even his own... Well, I guess in Scorpion's case it was, but... I mean, what do they have to gain by saying a guest character was the highest? They wouldn't lie about something like that. They have the statistics, they have the facts. So there's my proof that the guest characters actually outsold the other characters. So I'm not saying, well, we should care because they made a bunch more money. I mean, that is nice. It means a higher budget for the next game. But beyond that, I mean, obviously that's not our concern. But beyond that, that just means that's how many happy fans or other fans from other series that were brought to Mortal Kombat to play it and give them that they gain that attention, potential new fans, which means more fans following the series which is better for everybody because the more people buying this, the more likely we are going to get movies and crap like that down the line, but also just more people that are playing the game online, which means more people in the competitive scene potentially. It just grows, and growth is absolutely essential. So that alone is a big deal. But beyond that, let's look at the actual statistics of these guest characters that we've gotten so far. Kratos, and this is using the MortalKombat.com website, their leaderboards for actual statistics of how often these characters are used in the actual game, both online and offline, in any mode. Kratos had 6 million players, over 6 million players. He was actually the 17th most used character on PS3. So that's him beating out 13 MK fighters. So that means 13 MK fighters took a fall, and that's not even counting Rain or Freddy, of course. Rain wasn't on the list for some reason, and Freddy obviously he's not an MK fighter, so Kratos is the 17th most, beating out 13 MK fighters, so he's actually way more popular than those 13 fighters, or at least, he has his fans, and those are people that are playing the game to play as Kratos. So that, I feel like that's very important, because you said all these characters aren't getting a chance, well, or they should be designed better. Well, here's Kratos. Clearly, he's designed really well because people are actually gravitating towards him. And even a Mortal Kombat fan might, take to Kratos, and I see no problem with that. And in Kratos' case, he was actually there was 5 more million players that used Kratos, or more uses of him, than Scarlet. Scarlet was around 1,500, and Kratos was 1,500,000, and Kratos was in the 6 million area. So yeah, I mean that's shocking, and just proof to itself that a guest character can be a huge hit and can blow away many of its MK counterparts. But let's continue on with statistics. Freddy was played more than Kenshi and Scarlet by 500,000 to 750,000 on PS3, and by 30,000 over Shiva, 400,000 over Kenshi, and 700,000 over Scarlet on 360. So the other DLC character, we don't have Rain. I'd love for him to be on the list to see where he stacks up. I can't imagine he's going to be much higher, if at all, but I don't have anything to back that up. But the point is, Freddy was actually played way more than Kenshi and Scarlet, and Shiva on 360. So that there just kind of, I feel, defeats the argument that, well, it's better suited for a Mortal Kombat character because, well, if it was, then why aren't these players actually using these characters more than the guest character? But beyond that, and those statistics speak for themselves, so I'm not going to harp on those too much, but beyond that, you get dream matches. I mean, let's put the statistics aside for a moment. You get dream matches. I mean, do we not play games to have fun at the end of the day? At the end of the day, are these not an escape from reality and just for pure fun and entertainment value? So why not? I mean, Link and Spawn and etc. and Soul Calibur 2, or just all the Soul Calibur games that have guest characters, that's awesome. That's a big appeal, in my opinion, to those games. I love those games to death, but guest characters can be great. They can draw so much attention from fans from other series, and you have dream matches like Scorpion. Hell, even the
30 seconds,
crossovers
sir.
fit into that range of just dream matches between popular characters. And it creates interesting character dynamics with unique moves that you might not otherwise see. And like I said, it brings in new fans, which is always good for a series. And it can open up more doors. Like in the case of Mortal Kombat, it opened up the door for the WB ownership with their crossover with Mortal Kombat, which, it's not guest characters, but it kind of is. So, I mean, that's pretty much my argument right there.
All right, and that's also time right there. Stop it. Thank you. All right, let me just jot that down. Okay, and we will move on to Temp's cross-examination. I believe that is correct. All right, and that 2 minutes begins now.
Okay, well, I really want to focus on Kratos here. Since MK9 came out, and since MKX has been announced, and this is just your observation, not necessarily in statistics, but has there been any measurable demand for Kratos? Have you observed any outcry for Kratos, or even Freddy, since MKX was announced? Has there been any visible demand?
On MKO, because that's really the only place I frequent enough to warrant like a good judgment of that. I've seen very little for, like, there's been some for Freddy, but not like to a huge number. And for Kratos, I have not seen no.
Okay, and I guess on that note, really, what comes down to determining a good guest character? Because we could say guest characters sold well, but if you want to get down to it specifically, Freddy sold well. Now, is that something unique to Freddy? Or is that just something amongst guest characters in general? Is that a quality they would universally share?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it depends on the guest character, but both in Freddy and Scorpion's case, let's not forget Scorpion was outselling all the other 5 other choices in Injustice. But for Freddy, yes, he outsold Rain, supposedly a diehard favorite amongst the MK hardcores, Kenshi, a very popular character from the 3D era, and Scarlet, a new character that was rumored back in the day. So, yes, he outsold by enough to... I didn't see the actual numbers, but yes, he outsold them all.
And last but not least, what are the dates on those statistics? Because if Rain's not on there, I imagine that's going to factor into the numbers, but go on.
Dates on the actual Mortal Kombat site.
Well, the character usage.
Character usage, it doesn't list. I just know the very highest number is 21 million, and that's for Scorpion. So,
and that's time.
Take that for what it is.
All right. Thank you, sirs. Up next is the 3-minute rebuttal round. Your 3 minutes begin now.
All right. Quickly, I want to clarify a wrong statement I just made in the cross-examination. So I'll take up my own time for that. And that was 21 billion that I was tracking for Scorpion, not 21 million. So 21 billion players it tracked. So take that for whatever it's worth. I assume that means a lot of fucking time. And it has the PC edition. So whenever that came out. So it had to have been post-Rain. But not going to waste any more time on that. But that would be the correct amount for that, just not to mislead anything. Basically, counter-arguments is I'm going to further harp on basically the statistics because I think that's a very valid point. You said, why waste the resources on characters that you're not going to get anything out of post that game or after that game? And you even mentioned, is there an outcry for Kratos? Well, my response to that and my rebuttal to that would be, I'm not on a PlayStation forum, so I really don't know the demand for Kratos. I don't know the demand for guest characters as a whole, but for the people that pay, I mean, like I said, the proof is in the pudding. You speak with your wallets at the end of the day. So if people really wanted 3D characters and people really wanted new characters or characters that haven't been represented enough or whatever, the hardcore diehard fans, their favorites like Rain, you speak with your wallets. Okay, the overall people that buy this game and play this game and enjoy this game and are going to invest their money in this game is not represented just on a Mortal Kombat forum. And that's really all we have to go by. Because at the end of the day, if Freddy outsold everybody else, that speaks to Freddy. People love the idea of dream matches. So like you said, is it really the guest character itself, the concept, or is it the person itself? And I think it's the concept itself. And that's what we're arguing here is we're not arguing if one specific character should be in. We're arguing if a guest character is worthy of a spot. And I think the sales speak for themselves. Because if people really thought no, and the majority thought no, it wouldn't be, Freddy wouldn't have outsold everybody. Kratos wouldn't be number 17. He wouldn't be beating 13 Mortal Kombat characters. And these are not like unpopular Mortal Kombat characters that he's beating here. He's beating out Nightwolf, Cabal, Stryker, Cybersub,
30
Sector,
seconds, sir.
Melina, Kano, Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, Sindel, Shiva, Kenshi, Scarlet, in that order. So, I mean, it speaks for itself. Like I said, the statistics are there. Speak with your wallets, folks. If the majority didn't like them, they wouldn't play as Kratos. They wouldn't buy Freddy. They wouldn't buy Scorpion. Speak with your wallets. At the end of the day, that's the biggest form of showing your opinion, is speaking with your wallets. You can say as much as you want, detracting them. People speak with their wallets, and they have spoken.
And that's time. All right. Tim, your 2 minutes begins right now.
I would say the main talking point here is the threshold of success. I mean, I can't argue that Freddy did not put more money into Warner Brothers' pockets. I can't argue that Kratos wasn't used a lot in MK9. Both those points are Kratos was used quite a bit, and I mean, understandably so. Here's the thing, though. At what point are we actually ensuring the future of Mortal Kombat? Now, we sold over 5 million copies of MK9. Again, how many more did we sell because of Kratos? Well, maybe it was a substantial amount of money, copies, whatever. In that case, that's not going to resources. I don't think that's actually affecting the budget for MKX. What that's doing is we're putting more money in the pockets of, say, Warner Brothers. I don't think that yields any fruit for Mortal Kombat. Let's put it this way, though. Here's what will yield fruit for Mortal Kombat. Let's say you make Reiko exceptionally popular. We're kind of doing that right now. He could actually show up in other media. We're already seeing that in the comics. He could show up in a film, series, online series, as we saw with Legacy. A guest character can't do anything like that. They can't actually enrich the franchise. Now, another thing here is the comic doesn't have any guest characters, and that's selling like hotcakes. That tells me that Mortal Kombat can stand on its own 2 feet. So yes, we're building revenue based on these guest characters, but I don't think that's yielding any actual results in terms of what content we see in the future. I don't think it is. I can't prove that. So I think with Kratos, even if he did put copies in other households, I don't think he was the hinging element. People would have bought the game either way. Scorpion Injustice proves that. Scorpion was the best-selling DLC for Injustice. That tells me that Scorpion put copies of Injustice in other people's households. Scorpion's his own selling point. I don't think you need guest characters. I think you can enrich the franchise and make it have more lasting value. You may make more money by doing a guest character.
That's time.
And there you go.
All right. And lastly, we will have a 1-minute free-for-all for both of our debaters, and that will begin right now.
All right, just to start this off, you said guest characters can bring in more revenue, but I just want to say it's not all about money. Obviously, that's a huge factor, but
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Beyond just revenue, it brings in more fans. It exposes the game to how many fans. I mean, I guess we don't know, but I mean, like I said, the amount of Kratos players and the amount of people that bought Freddy and bought Scorpion, that opened a lot of people's eyes to the franchise, got the game in people's hands that might not have otherwise played it. And that's huge into the growth and future of the franchise that you say you care so much about the future. Well, the future is dependent on more new fans, latching onto the series.
I guess I'm at the point. I feel like Mortal Kombat has outgrown the necessity of exposure. I feel like with the films and just pop culture at this point, it's not. We don't really need to sell Mortal Kombat.
Exposure's always good.
It is. I feel like it comes at a price, though.
Sure, but I mean, it's never hurts.
All
to
right,
make
that's time. All right, thank you, gentlemen. I will now deliberate, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
All right, and all this is off the record, obviously, so we're just chit-chatting. Good debate,
Excellent.
sir.
Okay.
Indeed. Good debate, indeed.
So are you guys going to cut this part out or what?
No, you just...
Oh.
Yeah, you do your thing.
Yeah, you just
I'm going to do that. I got to crunch some numbers.
We'll talk amongst ourselves. Herbidi-derbidi. Yeah, I mean...
I feel like it only takes... Like, I feel like there's a possibility of a bad guest character, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
I mean,
run
that's...
that risk.
There is potential of a bad guest character, but I mean, I feel like that's up to the... See, nobody should care more about a series than its developers. It's their baby. I mean, hell, we've had Ed Boon at the helm since the very beginning. So if they don't choose people that they feel are good to their franchise, fit their franchise to some degree, or are going to be a profitable endeavor for their franchise, I don't think they'd waste their time. We're not getting like a fucking, I don't know, like Harry Potter as a guest character. I mean, let's not even go down the ridiculous road of what people thought might happen just because people were overreacting. Like, we know we're going to get badass, iconic characters that you might not always like personally, but they're going to have a huge fan base out there. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't think they would do that if it was just for their own shits and giggles. If they do Kratos, I mean, they've done Kratos, they've done Freddy. Obviously, both of those characters are huge, iconic figures in their own respective rights. I think if we get Predator, Spawn, or Jason going forward in MKX, once again, huge, iconic, incredible, and people will definitely buy the game just to play as these characters. Because if, let's say Jason was put in Soul Calibur, Tekken, or any of these, I would at least fucking check out the game. I'd at least give it a look. I'd at least want to get my hands on it just to play as that character. Hell, if Raiden or Scorpion, I've done that. Raiden was put in Mortal or Ultimate. What the hell is that tournament? What fuck am I? You know what I'm talking about?
The Grid?
Not the Grid, but that's another good one. But Unreal Tournament. Duh. I don't know.
Oh,
I couldn't
yeah.
fucking think of that. Raiden was put in Unreal Tournament at one point. Hell, Scorpion was put in PsyOps, which didn't make any sense, but they did it anyways.
I've
And
never
it was
played either of those games.
they're both are really cool. But point is, I mean, even MK characters have been guest characters in other franchises. So I don't think it's not just a one-way street where all these characters are infiltrating Mortal Kombat. So it's like it's never beneficial to Mortal Kombat. Well, it's always beneficial to Mortal Kombat because if they're having guest characters, it's getting those fans to come to Mortal Kombat to play as their favorite character, and they might fall in love in the series while they do it.
I just wish we had a statistic on how much Rain did sell, how much Kenshi did sell.
I wish they would
I
release
feel like
that.
I think they did pass the threshold to necessitate their existence. You know, I feel like the success was there, but it turned into a relativity game, and because they didn't get as much as Freddy.
No, I completely agree with you there. I would love to see the statistics. I don't think any of them sold piss poor. I think they did release a list of from highest to lowest. I think it was Freddy, Kenshi, Rain, Scarlet. I'm pretty positive that's dead on accurate. I remember hearing that. I obviously can't prove it with anything, but obviously this isn't even part of the debate anymore. But I'm almost positive I saw that listed somewhere. Or at least somebody.
It's disheartening to me when I see so little demand for Kratos to come back, and that to me it's like.
Do we know that for sure though? I mean, as MK
it's
fans,
also a
on
personal
on
observation. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're just judging. I'm sure you've heard things at tournaments and whatnot, and just based on the Mortal Kombat websites we go to. But I mean, ultimately, what's gonna matter at the end of the day is how many of those Kratos fans that bought and played as Kratos in MK9 are going to pick up MKX just because they had fun with MK9.
It might now. I don't literally mean this number, but it might be zero. Because if the God of War fans are into mega violence and over-the-top death,
sure,
they might already get that with MKX, you know? So they may be hitting the same demographic they would have hit otherwise.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is their favorite character being in MK9 definitely encouraged a lot of people to pick up MK9 that would likely have never picked. I mean, obviously, yeah, there's a definite theme, dark and grittiness and violence tie between the two. That's why I feel like he was a decent guest character. Is you got to at least have some sort of thematic tie. You don't want to have, Rainbows and Sunshine's character in Mortal Kombat just because they want cash or a tie-in, blah 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 publicity. That's where I don't feel they've done that yet. I mean, Soul Calibur having Star Wars characters is a little goofy, but once again,
well,
it's still
Soul Calibur
cool.
did have Chris as a guest character, and that didn't sell too well, if I remember correctly. I mean, I could be wrong about that.
Interesting.
That was also handheld, though.
Right.
So that's a
yeah,
factor.
that's true. I remember that now. Yeah, handheld probably played a part in that. I mean, I don't know the mobile sales of Mortal Kombat either, but I don't know. It's just like I said. For me, it's all in the statistics, and I'm not saying just we care about the money they make, even though that does play a factor too. It's not just like the more money they make is just the more money in their pocket. The more money they make is definitely attributes to more DLC characters next time, which could be.
Well, I think after a threshold it is. After a certain threshold, it does become just money in their pockets. But you're right, there are real goals. There are real financial ceilings they have to break through before we do see more DLC. But I just feel like, did we get more sales or did we get more customer satisfaction with Kratos? Because I feel like they were going to hit that demographic anyway. Once they saw Noob Saibot, tearing Sonya into two different Sonyas.
But that begs the question, though, is did they even give it a chance until Kratos was the hook that get him... Kratos was the bait to get him to get the game or to play the game, and then when they see everything else, they fall in love. I mean, Mortal Kombat's pretty popular. We both know that.
It's huge.
Yeah, it doesn't need the exposure, but like I said, exposure never helps, and especially since it's such an old franchise. Getting fans of a younger age, like newer fans of a different generation, is important, and Kratos is partly appealing to that. I mean, obviously, you can argue you're Freddy and Jason. What the hell? They're not getting necessarily new generations of fans, but I mean, even then, even they still have their, they're still iconic. They still have their reboots and remakes and sequels and shit like that. But anyways, Django, you sound like you're ready.
I am ready whenever you guys are. All right. I've made my decision, and I just want to say that I did my very best to leave my own opinion on this issue out of the equation. And I judge these guys based solely on their presentations. I have my own opinions, but that doesn't matter. With that said, by the smallest margin possible, allowed from my own system, the winner of this episode is Temp.
Good game, sir.
Really? I thought Cyborg had that, but I'll take it.
I did too, but it's still it was still a hell of an argument.
I appreciate it. I'll take
all right. Yeah. I really liked both of your opening arguments. I liked them a lot. I jotted all of your bullet points down as you went along, and I really liked all of Temp's. He just had a lot of points, whereas Cyborg had fewer points, but they were all really well represented with the statistics and all of that. So that whole section, you guys tied, as far as I'm concerned. In the rebuttal, Temp came one ahead. I liked his rebuttal 1 point better. And then in the final, Cyborg, I gave you a 0.5, and I in the free for all, which is I was just going to give one of you guys a 0.5 in that one. But I mean, yeah, that's how I did it.
All right, then.
Okay.
Numbers.
All right, well.
No, both of you guys did very, very well. Like I said, that's by the smallest margin possible. That's my opinion. Tell me how I'm wrong, everybody, and thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Adios.
Take care. Thanks again.
Fatality.